Hello my hungry friends! Today we're making a cabbage roll soup, zupa gołąbkowa. Welcome back friends! Today in my Polish kitchen I'm gonna do a little bit of improvising. I do a lot of improvising in my kitchen and today I'm gonna do it on camera. We'll see how that goes. We are making cabbage roll soup today. Zupa gołąbkowa. So it's a soup that is relatively young in Poland, I guess. Maybe in America it's different. I think I may have heard of it a while ago. But it's a soup made from ingredients that you use to make cabbage rolls. So it's pork and rice mixture rolled in cabbage leaves and then either boiled or baked. We're gonna make it into soup and we're gonna do it really quickly because it's gonna be a quick soup. So I have all the ingredients that you normally would have for making gołąbki and we'll see how it goes. We're improvising. Do you improvise in your kitchen?
All the time because I don't read recipes for crap.
How does it work for you?
It works okay. I mean, I did a video where there's some improvisation.
Yes.
And I did okay.
You did
It would
fine.
have been better if I would have followed the instructions a little bit better.
So first I'm gonna heat some oil and I'm gonna put about probably a tablespoon of oil on the bottom. And I'm using an oil that it has a high heat or high burn point. This is grapeseed oil. You could use lard or whatever you like to use for frying. And then I have 400 grams, which is 15 ounces, almost a pound of pork, ground pork. In Polish gołąbki, normally, traditionally, we use pork. Sometimes my grandma used pork and beef mixed, and I like that as well. Today I'm using just pork. You can use your judgment, you can do just beef as well. I know Americans like that. So I'm gonna just put my pork in here, and this is the part from ham, raw ham. We use that a lot here in Poland, but it could be like a shoulder or another, whatever cut you can get really. With some fat in it though, not like I wouldn't do loin, yeah. So we're just gonna brown this, or we're just gonna cook this for a little bit. It doesn't have to really brown, I don't think. Just we want to get a little bit of color on it, but. And I have 3 cloves of garlic in there, and 2 our meat. I'm also gonna add I'm calling it Polish trio. So this is a couple bay leaves, and I have a few peppercorns and a few allspice berries. So that's going to flavor our soup as well. Then I'm going to add a little bit of salt. Whoopsie. I'm going to go with a teaspoon. And then we can adjust later. Turn up the heat a little bit. And I have some ground pepper in here. I'm going to do almost a teaspoon. Probably like 3/4 of a teaspoon. And then we can adjust those spices later as well. So this is browning slowly for us. And I'm just breaking up the bits a little bit so they're small in our soup. Is this on? And we're gonna add some tomato, and we're gonna add some rice to it. So we're using all of the components of what would be gołąbki. So we've just gotten rid of some of the water that was in the meat, and we don't really need to worry about it too much. There may be little bits and pieces that are still raw, but that's okay. So next I'm going to add some more flavor to our soup. So I have 2 carrots here that I've peeled and sliced, and I have 1 parsley root that I also peeled and sliced. So I'm going to add that here. And let's see. Next I'm going to add our tomato component, and this is tomato paste. And this will we'll see how this goes. I'm gonna add 3 tablespoons for right now. And I'm also gonna add a whole can of tomato sauce.
So when you're saying tomato sauce, you mean like a spaghetti sauce or
So
just like...
Probably not spaghetti, because spaghetti sauce already has some spices in it, like thyme and rosemary and basil probably.
So basically just liquid tomato.
Liquid tomato, or canned tomatoes would do as well. Just so we can have that kind of sweet component of tomato. And then I'm gonna add 8 cups of water. And we're gonna bring this to boil. And we want the veggies to kind of let some of that flavor out into our soup, and some of that flavor from our pork and our spices. So we're gonna let this boil for a while, probably about 10 minutes. And once the veggies get a little bit softer, I'm gonna add rice. But I want the water or the soup, the broth, to have a little bit more flavor before I add the rice, and then rice will pull some of that flavor in when it's cooking and be nice and tasty. So we'll set this on here and let it boil for about 10 minutes. Our veggies are cooking nicely. The soup has gotten nice color, and you can smell the tomato in it, and it smells nice. It's starting to smell like it's gołąbki time. And just give it a taste to see if you need some salt. I'm gonna add a little bit more salt. I'm gonna add another teaspoon. Whoops. Salt flying everywhere. And at this point, we're gonna add the rice. So for this amount of broth that we added, I'm gonna start with 1/4 cup. And rice is gonna draw the moisture and the flavor out of the broth, and it's gonna cook nicely. It's gonna thicken our soup. So I'm gonna add this, and we'll cook the rice before we add the cabbage. My rice says do whatever the packaging instructions on your packaging say. Mine says 15 minutes, so we're gonna simmer our soup for the next 15 minutes, and then when we come back, we're gonna add our cabbage. And I'm leaving the cabbage out yet because I don't want the cabbage to kind of become mushy. 15 minutes is a lot for cabbage. It only needs probably about 5. So once the rice is cooked, we'll add our cabbage and we'll eat. Rice is cooked, and it may look like it's not enough yet, but believe me, it will plump up as it cooks a little bit more in the soup. And after you have cooked everything, and if you decide that it's still not enough rice, you can adjust it. But I think that you'll be happy with this. So I have 4 or 5 cups of diced cabbage, and I like to go with a rather small dice, just so it kind of looks nice in the soup. So this is about 1/4 of a medium head, about this big, as big as my plate. So I'm adding cabbage to our gołąbki soup as our last step. And once this cooks, we're gonna have nice soup. And this is already thickened just by adding the cabbage to the soup. So we're gonna give this just a few minutes. I like my cabbage with a little bit of crunch. So I'm just gonna give this 5 minutes, and when we come back, we'll do some tasting and hopefully eating. You will be surprised how thick this soup became. Right before we put the cabbage in, it was still a little watery, but now the cabbage is cooked and the rice drew a little bit more moisture out of the soup, and I think it's nice and thick. It's kind of stewy, and I'm just gonna see if it needs more salt. I'm gonna let you judge your own soup. I would add a little bit more to mine, but maybe I'm just being crazy. So to dish it up, and this will totally remind you of eating gołąbki at home. You got the cabbage in there, Still a little crunchy. We got little bits of meat. I think I'm gonna leave it like that, where you can see the little bits and the pieces of rice and little pieces of meat and cabbage. Now I'll taste it all together. Ooh, that's hot. It's like eating gołąbki, only minus all the rolling work. It's delicious. I hope you try this. I hope you go to polishyourkitchen.com and explore all of my other recipes. And if you stop at the merch store, you can see aprons like this and other merch that helps us keep our channel going. And you can go over to Instagram and follow us there. We post a little bit more candid stuff on our Instagram. So we'll see you next time, and let's cook something nice. Smacznego!